Squishies, welcome back to another vlog. This is Steven Universe the movie. After months of hype, we finally got it. I literally just watched the East Coast broadcast, took a shower, and then came to record this. It was pretty good. Wasn't the greatest thing ever. It wasn't change your mind good, but it was good. I'm actually going to start by talking about the one real issue it had, which was an issue Steven Universe has a lot. The pacing was a little janky. There was a lot of time spent on some things and not a lot spent on others. I feel like compressing the character reiterations a little, going back through all of their backstories and trying to bring back their memories and all, I feel like that had a little bit too much space. Because we know them. And I get that this movie was supposed to work as a jumping on point for new viewers, but it doesn't. I cannot imagine being a new viewer and watching this and being like, oh, okay, I get it now and want to watch more. Yeah, I just don't see it working that way. This was an epilogue to the series. It was not an introduction to something new. It was not really a very good jumping on point, in my opinion. A lot of stuff I feel like would have had the impact of a wet noodle if it weren't for the show. So, that said, they could have sped up the character restoration process a little bit to give us a little more time with Spinel, who comes around a little easily. As Peridot comments, that's a quick turnaround. But, I mean, that's not a movie-breaking issue. It's just, they kind of sped through that a little. I mean, it's a musical. You can do that in musicals by dint of musical numbers, which is how they do it, but it's still, I don't know. I would have liked a little more. I would have liked getting a little bit more in-depth into Spinel before her quick and easy turnaround. That said, I really liked Spinel. She's got a very old-timey cartoon feel. She feels like something out of, like, early Disney, or, like, Felix the Cat, or that kind of thing. The noodle limbs, the constant dancing, the general energy of her, some of the poses she makes, they all felt very much, even the way she talks feels very much like something out of the 20s, 30s, like black and white era of cartoons, like pre-Looney Tunes stuff, which is great. I loved that about her. Her motivation was a little, yeah, okay, that's a pretty typical, I mean, I don't know. It feels a little My Little Pony. And maybe it's just because she has a similar energy to Pinkie Pie in her factory reset state. But you left me behind, so I'm going to destroy a world seems a little much. And I get that, Earth has no meaning to gems, but generally speaking, gems have a meaning to gems. They're at least a little hesitant about destroying each other, and I guess the gems would have survived her attack, most probably. Although, if they meant organic, like it's implied when the pink goo destroys Stephen's jacket, that any organic material can be dissolved by it. Depending on how broadly they're defining organic, I mean, doesn't it technically mean anything with carbon in it? Aren't there quite a lot of gemstones that have carbon in them? But okay. It just feels like there's a moment when Spinel realizes, like, I wanted to be your friend, why am I attacking you? And it's like, well, duh. Her motivation just feels a little thin compared to some of the other character motivations. Like, Jasper hates the crystal gems for killing Pink Diamond. The Diamonds lost their sister. A lot of the gems that attack Stephen don't really have anything against them at all. They think they're doing their duty. Those feel like motivations that people have, whereas you left me behind, so I waited for 6,000 years and then decided to come murder you and your entire species. It feels a little melodramatic. And I guess that's Spinel's character. But I don't know. I still really liked her. I loved her design. I loved her method of attack. When she pulled out the scythe, I was like, holy shit. And let's talk about this fact that Homeworld named a scythe the Renewer. In modern, semiotics, I guess, most people, the strongest referent they have for a scythe is the Grim Reaper. It's a symbol of death. And that is what happens when it's used on someone. Essentially, they die. They die and are replaced by a clone, basically. That's what a total memory wipe is. And to call that the Renewer is so up is down, war is peace, authoritarian opposite day, that I have to love it. As just one more example of how fucked up Homeworld was. Speaking of, they touched on it lightly, but it is good to hear that part of what Stephen has done with the diamonds is dismantling the Empire. Lots of damage has been done, and I'm curious to see what they're doing to repair it. At least on Earth, it looks like there's a lot of gems building stuff and participating in society and all that kind of stuff. So hopefully something like that is happening on other worlds. There's rebuilding going on, and gems are helping with it, but letting the inhabitants take charge. Of course, at least some of those planets probably don't have inhabitants per se. I mean, Pearl mentions that to be a good place to make gems, a planet needs to have a rich organic life, but that doesn't necessarily require sapient life. So hopefully at least some of those planets they can just leave to regrow, as it were. but anywhere where there's sapient life and anything like a civilization, they have a responsibility to help repair whatever damage they've done, and to, you know, but they have to do it. They can't push that on. They have to do it under the guidance of the people who've been freed. So I'm a little curious about all that, but at least I'm glad to hear they've been dismantling their empire, and changing their behavior and trying to create a more free society that isn't as regimented and hierarchical. White is clearly struggling with this, and doesn't completely buy into it. She is having a hard time embracing the notion of, equality. But she's at least trying, and that's better than being a cosmic dictator. I really liked, by the way, that when she says to cut the feed, Yellow Pearl says, "You're out of time anyway." It really sounds like the Pearls are running some kind of media thing, and they are running it, not the Diamonds. It's just one little example of proliferating freedom, that a Pearl is able to say to a Diamond, "Your time is up." Gosh, what else? The music was really good. I particularly liked the reboot song that Pearl sings after being rebooted, introducing all the different gems. And the way the Diamond song at the beginning came back at the end, but in modified form, and sort of merged with Spinel's version of the, I'll find someone else to love me. That was very cleverly done. That kind of, let's take a song that was at the beginning, and now it means something completely different here at the end, is something the show does very well. The thing I immediately thought of was the Cookie Cat theme, which, of course, we all know is about Rose Quartz and about Steven. Similarly, something like that was done with We Are the Crystal Gems itself in Change Your Mind. So that was well done. I really liked that. The songs in general were good. While I liked Steg, and it was great to have Amy Mann back in the show, I feel like that musical number went on a little too long. That's the main place where I feel like they could have compressed a little and had more space for character development for Spinel. One thing I have to mention. I mean, I know I'm kind of jumping around. One thing I have to mention is Sapphire and Ruby, when the scaffolding is collapsing. The minute they referenced that time that Ruby saved Sapphire and they first fused, I knew, they're going to reverse it, Sapphire's going to save Ruby, and they'll fuse. And even though I knew that was coming, it still got me emotionally. It was such a great moment, such a great reversal. The fact that they still, even with their memories wiped, find each other and fall in love is such bullshit, but such happy bullshit. Such, touching bullshit, that I don't even mind that it's bullshit. I love it. What else? As we all know, Steven has a neck now. Yay. So one thing I think this did very well, because I just watched a couple of days ago Rocko's Modern Life movie, which was trying to be about the importance of embracing change. This did such a better job with that theme. It really just works on every level. That Steven is different. He's grown. The universe is different. The gems are different. The relationship between gems and humans is different. The relationship between crystal gems and homeworld is different. Everything is different. Excuse me. My friend Seth, hi Seth, pointed out when they went into the garden, he tied that to the Everything Changes song that is in Adventure Time, which, if I recall correctly, Rebecca Sugar wrote. And yeah, it's a theme she's dealt with before, that things change and things stay the same, and it's always both. Everything changes, everything stays the same, while it's changing. Which is essentially what Steven Universe seems to be doing. The official word apparently is that the movie is not the end of the series. But whatever the series is going forward is going to have to be dramatically different than what it was before. And the movie is letting us know that's okay. It's still Steven Universe. It's still a cartoon about people crying. It's still got that core of emotional truth. It's still got that ethos of radical kindness and embrace of the other. It's still the same show at its heart, but it's changed as well. And it has to. It has to grow. It has to move on. It can't stay with the same thing forever. If it does that, then, it's Teen Titans Go, which is not a bad show, but it's not a good show either. It's a show you put on as background noise, if at all, A really good show has to evolve. The characters have to grow, the stories have to evolve, it needs to go somewhere, and then either come to a conclusion or find a new direction. And it sounds like Steven Universe is seeking the latter. And that's great news, honestly. Because I love this show. And as satisfying as an ending as Change Your Mind would have been, I am totally open for more and new Steven Universe. I think that's about it. Thank you all for watching. Don't forget to like, comment, subscribe. Check out my Patreon for early access to vlogs, essays, let's plays, and more. And I'll see you all next time. Bye!